Hello guys, so we are to the second part of our building API, right? And today we are creating the user API. Okay, so let's work on that. So I don't know if I have any route here. I have anything, right? Okay, there is something. Okay, like get route. If I go localhost 5000, right, uh it should return this. And because we have some error throwing, right, that's why I'm not getting any updates. So what I will do, I'm just going to comment that out, right? And that's this will be live now, right? And if I go back to my postman and localhost 5000 send, and I should get that object sent to me, right? So it's okay. Let's now, so in the user, right, what are the things we're gonna need? Like creating user. Okay, what we need, right? First, the folder structure. Okay, so here we have users folder. Similarly, maybe next time, right, tomorrow when we work on the book, you're gonna have like a book folder, right? API for the books or book, whatever here. So the user, what I need is a user. Let's call it maybe what we can call, right? Because this is a TypeScript, right? So we're gonna need the user types. Okay, so let's add the user types. I'll just define the types first, right? Types.ts. So here just export something like a export, right? So how we define types, remember, because this will be object, right? Like this, there will be something like id equal to string, right? And then we just need name, email, and password. Okay, that is all we need, right? So that will be string, and the name, email will be string, right? And the password also, password will be password, right? Will be what? String also, string. Okay, so remember, this is the object. When you have object, right, and you need to define type for that, what we did before, remember last time, interface, this is user, right? Like that, correct? So this is the user types we define. What we can do is we can export this, right, so that we can use somewhere else. Export interface user. So that is all, I think, type we need: id, name, email, password. Okay, if you look at the if you go back here, right, in our so set up DB connection. Okay, that we have done already. Error handling we have done. Build in point for what? Users, right? Okay, so let's look at the, is that types? Yeah, not, I don't know if I put or not. Here is that users, user types, right? So inside users folder, we just created user types. Okay, something like that, right? We're going to use that. The next is what we need: the schema, right? Schema for this. So we have already connected to our database. Okay, so how we can use the schema, I mean how we create a schema. So let's add one file, right? Call it user model.ts. Okay, and here we're gonna define the schema, right? So it will be something similar to this one. Okay, because we have what, we have just three things, right? Like name, email, and password. Okay, and timestamp will give us like created date and updated, right, time. Okay, so import mongoose, we have installed already last time, I mean yesterday, right? So we just import that. Next we're gonna import our schema, right? So let's, not schema, but our the type. Okay, so user, from user types we can import that, and then const let's create a schema, right? User schema equal to how we create schema. Remember from before, right? Basically, we call this mongoose dot schema, and then you add the new instance, right? That is new mongoose dot schema. So that capital is schema right here. Okay, and so I mean that is all we have to do, right? So basically, see how it will work, right? And this will be something like this, and inside we're gonna have our object, okay, here, right? So inside this object, we're gonna define all our types. So the first one is name, right? The name gonna be, if you have more than one property you adding, like this string and all that, right? So you can, like if you just want to put a string, that is okay, right? It is still okay. Then you can move to the email, right? But if you want to add like required and all that, then you just wrap in the object, right? So here in the object, we can put type. What type of data is this? Basically string, right? So in this case, we have to have capital S, remember that. And then will be required, right? Required ed will be true, boolean, okay? So, in the schema, right, what we have to do is basically just define the general type, right? Not general, but what we call the word, like there was a special word for this, you have to just define here, right? And what is our type? That is user. So that should do the job, right? I think that should do the job. If not, let's see if I have to execute or not, right? No need, okay? Just leave it like that. Okay, so email done. Basically name is done. Then we put the email here. Will be again same thing, type and required, unique also you can put like that, right? So always remember, if you have more than one property, just wrap in the object, right? Because here you can put any data, like string or maybe object is okay, right? Normally that's how it works. Same thing with the password. And gonna be again type, that will be string. And unique will be, in the password we don't need unique, right? So just put a required, okay? Required, right? And that will be true. So that you cannot just send empty password, right? Database will give you error, and then close there the password, and then I think we need to close what else? Let's see. Yeah, that is done, right? So we can just add, let me check. Okay, so we have this done. And then after here, right? Control G. After this, we're gonna add the timestamp inside the object, okay? So what this does, right? This will create like when the database was created and when updated, okay? So there will be created add, updated add. You have seen that in the Postgres. Similarly, it will create also, right? So that's how it works, okay? So we got the schema ready, right? Now we have to return this. Okay. So how we can do that? Export default, right? And then mongoose dot model. You just have to pass that type here, and then first you have to give the name, right? What is the name of your model? That is user. So that when it will create the collection, right, in your database, it will be ruler, right? S, like something like how you spell that, ruler, right? Something like that. true. I forgot. Okay, my like I just cannot pronounce correctly. It will be S. Okay, it will have a S name inside your database. Collect users, right? Collection. Okay, we call collection. And inside that user, all the object, right? Every time you create new users, it will create new object like this that gonna have ID and name and email and password, right? Stored in this collection. The each object we call it what you call that? Uh, we call it document. Each object we call document, right? Collection is the table, and document is the each user, each object, right? This will call object. Okay, so inside here you're gonna have, every time you create, you're gonna have ID, user, name, and password, right? And because we added unique to the email, right? Same person, if try to create new user with the same email, it will reject. Okay, database will reject, right? And it will throw the error. So our database is ready now. Basically, what you call that? Model is ready. So next thing is route now, right? So we're gonna focus in route now. Let's do that. So we call it user router, right? Router.ts. So import what we need now, right? Here we're gonna need express, import express from express, right? Express, and then we call it const user router equal to express dot router. So okay, so the point now, I mean, up to model, you understand model easily, right? I mean, you have done that before, so you know this one. Okay, oh, sorry guys, I forgot to pass the, I just created the name of the model, but what is the our data, right? I need to pass that schema here, so that is user schema. Okay, so that's how you create a model. So next time if you have to create model for book, will be same thing, right? In the book folder, you just create the user, sorry, book model, book route, book types, all that, right? Same format. So in the route now, right? Why we need route, right? What are the different route? We can have route like a http :/ localhost, let's call it 5000 / API / maybe user / register. Let's say you're creating new user, right? So we can call it register, like that, register. You can have like maybe API users, maybe login route like this, login, right? Login. Maybe you have update and delete also, but for now we're just gonna do this to we're gonna create, right? So somebody if request this route, right? Let's say somebody request this to our server. How our server, right, knows that? Okay, so we have to put all this route inside this object and then export that, right? So export default, right? Which one? User route, user router, right? Like that. And then in our app now, because see, app is imported where? This app is imported to our server, correct? Here we just import that app, right? And then we execute inside here. Basically we run the server here, right? Like listening to the port. So everything now we are adding in the app, right? Combining to app. Like app server is the main file, right? Which runs, like it creates server. But app is the one who providing all the functionality, right? So we have to import now that route right here. Import user router, right? Like that. And who gonna run this now, right? Who gonna run this? So remember there is a middleware called use, right? Use. It will work like this. app.use, right? So what you want to use here now? You can pass any functions, you can pass any routes, all that, right? You can pass any routes, okay? So because we requested localhost 3000 sorry 5000 API slash user slash register, right? Something like that we request. So we have to create that route. Let's create that route, right? So here we're gonna say this one, this slash is what? Localhost 5000, right? Then I will call API slash user, right? Like that. User or users, you can add, no problem. And then now route is coming from where? So you can user router. I just passed there user router. From user router, all my routes related to user will come, right? From this router, okay? Because I have combined all here now. I'm going to combine there, right? So next time when I request localhost 5000 slash API slash user, it will hit here, right? It knows where, it knows, right, where to go, okay? So it will say API users, and it basically, let's say this is the server. Just imagine this is the server, right? As a client, I request something to my server. So in the port 5000, okay, that means all my functionality is inside this app, right? Inside this app. Where is my app? App is coming from this app, right? And because my route is 5000 slash, because this slash is what? Localhost, that root, right? This, if I just put this one, that means localhost 5000. That is the root. Slash API slash user, because later I'm going to have API slash book also. So I'm just separating that, right? Then soon I hit user route, it will run this controller, user controller, right? So now let's go inside that controller and find the remaining part, right? Go to the, close this one, I don't need user model, close that one for now. User route, right? User route, okay? Router, user router. So here I'm going to create now, right? So user router dot host, okay? But why is saying, right? Okay, we have to pass something here. So the post method needs something. So post is what? Because you are posting something, remember from the client, you send request for the register, right? So API slash register. So let's API slash user slash register, right? So it is post route now. It knows it is post, okay? And then you're going to have the function here, right? Like this. So this is called controller function, okay? This function will take care of that part, right? So you're going to have like a request, response, and maybe next function, right? Like that. If there is error, just don't do request response, just go to the next, right? So that's how things work, right? But what I'm going to do is this. See, if you start writing this controller in the same page for post, get, again another post for login, right? Then this file will become too big. So that's the reason we put separately in a controller. So let's do that. So we have user controller dot TypeScript, right? And then we're gonna have that functionality here. So what I will do, I'm just gonna take this out for now, and we're gonna create something here called const. What name I given here, right? I think create, right? User create or something like that. Let me check quickly. Is this go up? So create user, right? Something like that. Yeah. Const create user, user, right? create create user. Okay, and that will be same function. Remember that the same function I said earlier, right? This one. Okay, and then you export that function, like export, because you're gonna have create user, you're gonna have login user, you're gonna have a lot of controller, right? So all functions for all different routes we just put here. Okay, this is one create user. Later we're gonna have const user or login user, like that, right? So that function you just export. So this is just, look at this simple function, right? This is right now function. You're gonna have request, response, and next, right? Why I'm just writing like this, because you can see how we constructing, right, from basic. Because I just copy paste, maybe that will confuse you. So if, when something is very long, I'll try to explain line by line, right? So start from this basic function we export now, right? And that is what we're going to use here. Because remember, the callback function we need, right? You know, you're going to need this function, right? So that function we just importing from our controller. So let's import that. That is name export, right? So import create create user, like that. So that's why, see, name export will be automatically add in the object from user controller, and you use that create user here. Done. So somebody, like somebody will request to the server localhost 5000/API/user. It will redirect to the user routes, but there will be also register, right? So the route, it knows that is post route. Okay, with this it will make the posting, right? And then that path or that route will make this function execute. This function will be called, right? Execute means this will be only, see, we are not, even though that is function, right, we are not calling this function like that. We just referring to the function. So our middleman, right, or our middleware, that is this use function, this is the use function. This middleware will make that function run later every time when you use that API, right, or that path. That's how it works. Okay, that's why we don't, when you calling something in the callback, right, we don't execute like directly. We just we just referring to that name, right, this function name. Okay, so here, right, so we have some complaining here. Now let's start fixing this. So first we're gonna call our types for the request, response, and next from the express. So let's call that import. That will be, I hope I didn't check the sound, right? Okay, so that is working. So next function then will be request. That is just type checking for all that properties, right? And then response from the express, so that you can just assign to all these properties. That is request. You're gonna have response, and then the next function here. Okay, done. Now, right, how we, let's say you send some data from the in that path, right? How we can get access that? So let's do that. Const we accessing what? Name, email, and password, right? Password, like that, from request dot body. Okay, that's how we access, right? So can we just console log and check, right, if we're getting or not? Console.log. Let's do the request. I'll just do the request body. Okay, when you send the data from the client, right, client will send the data in that path. We must get that information here, right? It should display somewhere. So okay, I think it's working now. Okay, so let's go back to our Postman and try to work on that, right? So let's see. I have here post somewhere, get post here, right? Okay, I'll just change this to 5,000. So my path will be how localhost 5,000 API / user. I think users, right? Let's make it users. I think it's not looks good. I'll just change this to users, okay? And / register. This is the path I'm gonna send. Like, just imagine there is a form, right? Online form to register, okay? When you submit the data, right? When you fill out the forms and you submit, the data will go to this path, okay? And when the data will go to this path, the function here, controller function, will take care now, right? That data will be in the body of the request. This request property, inside the body, you're gonna find that name, email, and password, right? So let's try to send that. So in the body here, right now, this is the form, right? So JSON, we're gonna send here a name like this, call it dev, comma, and then name, email, right? Email. So let's colon. It will be sent in form of a object, right? Like in the form of object, okay? So dev1@gmail.com, something like that, and password. Password will be whatever you can put, 1 2 3 4 5 6, like that, right? So let's send this and see if we console log something in our here, right, in the server. So we get cannot destructure property name of request body as it is undefined, right? Okay, so name, email, password. So it's saying undefined, okay? So let's do await here, because the function must be, because we are dealing with the now outside, right? So let's make it async, async async. Can we make await and see if that will fix the problem, right? So try again. Okay, so there is a response. There is no response back, right? The error is view console, something like that, but we did not get anything back here, So maybe I think it did not destructure the data, right? Even without await, it should work. Let me see, right? Okay, so we're sending the object, right? Our server does not know how to parse this data. So what we have to do here now is somewhere on the top right here, we can just call app.use. We have to pass something in the middleware. What is that? Express.json, right? To parse any JSON file coming to the server, okay? So now let's try, right, and see if this work again. So look at in the console now, right? See, in the console we have the data. Look at that. So you understand now, right? Just imagine you have the HTML form in the website. You fill out that and you submit, right? Our API route, this API route, in the register controller, right? There is all the functionality now, which receive the data from the form, from the online, from the client, because this is client, okay? What we are doing here is client. This is a client. Imagine like a website, right? From website, we're sending this to my server. My server is localhost 5,000. And then the inside there is a route API users, right? And then the post route is register. There is the function controller, right? Which basically user controller, which is taking care of my work now, right? So now that is why we're going to write everything now in here, okay? So you receive the data, you want to validate and do all the kind of things now, right? So we're going to do all that, but you get the idea. And you have the idea now, right? What we're trying to do now. So let's quickly work through. So once you receive the data, right, you want to validate. So yesterday we installed that, like HTTP error handler. So let's import that, right? Import create HTTP error handler. I will just remove this for now. We don't need that. That was just for testing purpose. And here we're going to do a lot of things, right? Validation, first will be validation. Then we're going to do the database connection, right? Database call, maybe database call later to, basically to, like check if the, before you create new user to the database, you want to check, right, if the user is already in the database or not. So to check for the existence of the user, right? Existence, TAN, existence of the user. We can do that. And next, what we're going to do, right? After that, so you want to hash the password also, right? Hash password. So we're going to use bcrypt, and finally, yeah, so next we're going to do the token generation, right, with JSON web token. Okay, we're going to do that also, and that is all, right? That is all we have to do. So let's start with validation. These are the steps we're going to take care. So guys, validation. So you have seen now I have the name, email, password, right? I have that. We don't need this one. Okay, we don't have to put here, right? Because we right now I'm not dealing with the, this is just within the system, right? I'm not dealing with the what do you call that, a database or any other server. So this is no need. This will be still synchronous. Okay, so in async, whenever I have async, because I'm gonna have async functionality while connecting to database, so I'm gonna need that. But for now, here we don't need. That's okay. So I have this create HTTP error handler function imported already, right? First, I will check if, right, no name, or let's say no email, right? Or let's call it no password. I'm just doing simple validation. Okay, we're not doing any complex. The point here is to understand how to create API, right? That is all. If that is the point, then we're gonna create error if there is no name or email or password. If any one of them is missing, right? Like then we're gonna if no name or no email or no password, then we're gonna return the error. Okay, so let's do that. Let's create one error variable equal to, and call that create HTTP error, right, function. And here you define, okay, 4000 like that, and call it like something like all fields are required. Okay, now you have to return, right? Return, because see, we found the error. Just imagine there is some error, right, in the sending name, email, or password. So we just return now. Return that. Okay, how you gonna return? You have to call this next function. Next function means soon you have returned, right, and you're running this next function, it will do like, it will move to the next step. Okay, it will not go below this line, right? It will not do anything here. So return next, and you pass that error, right? Just pass that error. Okay, that is all we have to do. So we can test now, right? We can test that if you want to. Let's look at quickly. So for example, I'm just gonna remove this password, right, and send, and see there is already error message popped up, right? Error stack and message. So what is saying, right? Expected double port property name in JSON as a position 50 line, some whatever that is, but still we did not get all fields are required, right? Oh, here, that was the main error, but let's send again and see. Okay, now see that all fields are required. Look at that. And if I put the, now I'm going to put the password. And then just add something like a string, because our, just having a string right in our database. So it's sent. Okay, we're not doing with anything, right? We are not, like, it's okay, it's still running. Look at that. We're not returning anything until now, so that's why it's keep running, right? We have not handled after this process, so cancel this for now, but it's okay. Now next is database call, right? Let's do that. So what we have to do, right? Because we have to deal with database, that is asynchronous call. So I will just do it one time. Try catch, handle the error together, right? In the try catch, we handling all the success things, and in the catch we catch the error, right? So let's do that. First I need to check if the user exists or not, right? So I will store in the variable const user equal to await, and I need the model now, right? So import that. Import user model from user model here. Remember, we have exported already, right? Export default whole of this. So if you have default export, you can give any name. So it will automatically take the name of the file, user model, or you can name it anything else. That is okay. But that's fine. We got the user model. Now I can deal with my database. So user model dot find one, right? Find one. And I will pass the what you call that, searching params right here. What is that? I will pass email. Where is my email? Look at here. I have email, right? I just passed that. So it will return the user, right? If there is, either it will return null or maybe user. Okay, so I will check now. If there is user, right, that means no, you cannot allow to create the new user. So what we will do, we just create error again, right? And we can say 400 and something like a user already exists with this email, right? Just return that. So comma, the message will be this: user already exists with this email. Okay, done. And then after that we return, right? Because you have created the error, but you have to return it. You have to go out of that functionality. So return, you can call it, let's call it, what is that, next, right? Next function to return the error. Good. Now we just catch the error here, right? So error will be again same thing. If something goes wrong in this part, right, and or maybe like network error, something like that, then it will jump to the catch part. So you just return it with the next, like, either you can create error separately, right? You can create here const err equal to, because you don't want to mess up with this, right? Unless you put here err or something like that, and then you can make it this one different name with error like that, and then create this will be 5000 status code, right? And then error while getting the user, right? Something like that. Just pass any message, while getting user. Now you can just pass the error. Same thing. Okay, either you put this whole thing inside here, or you just store it in a variable and then pass the variable. Done. Okay, let's say this user does not exist. So if null, right, means user, if there is something, then that is true. If null, then this will be false, right? So when the if is false, that means these things will not gonna happen, right? When nothing gonna happen here, it will just jump to the next line here, and that is hashing the password now. So to hash password, we need to install what? npm install bcrypt, bcrypt, I believe. Yeah, so let's do that. I will just stop the server and I'll type npm install bcrypt package, right? ypt bcrypt. There is one bcrypt.js. We just install bcrypt. You can find that also right here. You can say npm install bcrypt like that. I checked earlier, and you can get that. So you have to get that bcrypt and they use that, right? Salt round. Okay, I will talk about that. Let's see. But anyway, so that is used for hashing password. Okay, why we hash password? Because you don't want to store the same raw password, like, okay, mine, I'm there, my password is like, okay, apple 123, right? You don't want to store that. You want to convert into the long hashed string. And when somebody try to log in, right, you only the one who know the password. So when you enter the password during the login, you have to compare your hash password inside the server, inside the database, and with your password. And if they match, then only it will allow you to log in. So even if somebody get access to your data, right, they cannot see the raw password. They can see the hash password, but they cannot like hash password cannot be converted into the real password. Okay, only the bcrypt.js can compare with the real password, right? You the only one who know the real password. So let's hash it now. So we installed that already. Let's run npm run dev, and here I'm going to start hashing now. So const hash password equal to await bcrypt.js, not bcrypt.js, right? You have to import now. So let's import that. Import bcrypt from bcrypt, right? Like that. Okay, so it's complaining you have to add the type. Yeah, we have to install the type also, right, for all that. So let's do that. npm install @types like that, and then call bcrypt. Okay. Later we're gonna need the JSON web token also, right? So let's install that. npm install JSON web token, right? So it's here. And then we have to install type for that also, right? So that is what we have to do when we are using type. So basically npm install @ I didn't put only development, I didn't put earlier. Install -d @ types / JSON web token. So if you don't put /development, right, basically it is stored in that the normal our, see all the types I'm trying to add here, right? .env, see the one, see that bcrypt went to the dependency, right? It's okay. I mean, that will not make any, it's not a problem, but normally just types stored in the development dependency. So we just put the flag -d, capital D. Okay. So we got the bcrypt. Let's hash now, right? bcry bcrypt dot bcrypt dot there will be the function now called hash, right? And now you have to provide couple of things. So your password, what is your password? Whatever you have sent, right? This password on the top here, that password we need. And also we provide the salt, that is 10, right? So what is salt now? So salt, what it does, right? I believe the salt is basically some kind of encryption. Okay, the bcrypt will add some kind of encryption using that number, right, into your password, some kind of like hashing encryption, right? That is the salt. So you just have to provide the number. Okay, done. We just hash our password. It is stored in the variable hash password. Now it's time to create the user. So let's do that. So let new user, right, equal to basically let's define the type here. Why I'm storing outside, right, this variable, and it is empty right now. I don't have type, right? I have type. No, let me import that. Import user from user type. Okay, so whatever this new user, right, will be of this type, right? You remember that before, right? We have a variable colon, then types, and then you can add some data here. So now you can get like id. See that you get id, right? Like already, maybe one. Then you're gonna have, if I put name, see, this is string. See, my type is already suggesting me now, right? Email, see that? Something else. This is just a string. So, and password, look at that. So I'm just getting that. But here we're gonna store data later. For now, we just define the variable and type. Now we have to deal with asynchronous. So let's add the try catch block. And inside here, we're gonna say new user equal to this variable new user, right? Equal to await user model with user model dot create. So this create will add our data, name, email, password in the database. And you have to pass the name, email, and password, right? But in the case of password, we do the hash password, okay? Like that. So why I put name, email, and here I did a hash password? Because name property is same like value here. This is what value, right? This variable has a value. So if I call this one, it's a value also. So when you have property and the value same, you don't have to write like this. You can just shorthand, right? If the value and the property is same in our object, then you can remove this. Just keep it simple with the property name, and that will know I'm the value also and I'm the property also, right? It will figure out the name from the memory. Email also, but password we have in the new variable, so I have to assign it like that. Okay, so done. So that's how you create the, it will just create the new user, right? If there is any error, you can basically like just return it, same thing. So done, right? Done. Okay, the next, I mean, we can go back and connect to our data, right? Database. So Atlas, what is that? MongoDB. So we are in the same book, right? book data. So let's see, go to the database and maybe browse collection, right? Browse collection. And right now, this is from the previous, right? Old one, whatever, you know. So let's do something. If you go here, right? Okay, let's add something. Let's do that one and see if there is some changes, right? So here, you know, we have already in the body, we're just going to send this data, right? And see if this will do the job. Okay. Send. We didn't, it didn't return because we have not returning anything yet. Okay. But if we refresh now, right? We should have collection. I mean, there is a user already, but we must have this new data now, right? So in the user, let me expand that. Okay, they look like there is nothing, you know. Let's see. Okay, so we got something now, right? They look like the book. No, not book. Oh, what is the database name? What is the database name, right? Let me check now, because I know I'm just messing with the old one, and maybe that is creating some issue. So go back here and check now. So how I can check? I will just go to the env file and I added something like a bookstore. Okay, I added a bookstore, right? So bookstore, gonna have this user, and I don't have any user here yet. That's not good. Yeah, so it should create, you know. Okay, let me just delete all this, right? Drop the database store. I mean, there is a users table already, but I just cannot find the data, you know. Okay, so let's continue, right? Let's see. We gonna deal with this later. So we just created the create, right? Name, email, password. We added that. What I'm gonna do right now, right? Just return something. Okay, let's return something. Try catch. I will just return here. Return next, or maybe response. Just send the response rest.json. Let's add status, right? I think 201 and .json. And here I'm gonna add maybe a new user, right? So we'll have new user. Basically, it should return the new user. No need to put in the object, right? Just put here the variable new user that is already object. Save, right? And then try now. So if we can see here something, you know. Okay, so oh, sorry guys, I have no server running, right? That's the reason. Oh my god. Okay, nobody tell me, you know. So let's run that. npm run dev, right? See if everything okay. Server is running in port 5000 and successfully connected to database, right? Now I'm going to send the request, and look at that. So it just send me back that new user, right? With name, email, password, with ID. Also there is ID. Look at the password, right? It has now. See that? That's the hash password. Now we can go back here and refresh the right. Let's refresh this. Okay, you see now the in the user in the book store database user collection, right? And this is the document. Okay, so I just add this dev1 gmail.com. That's the password. Created add, you updated add. These are the timestamp, right, which we had in our model. Okay, so let's do quickly few things, right? Basically, how we gonna add the generate the JSON web token, right? JSON web token. Okay, so let's add quickly that one, and then we're gonna stop for today. We still have the login part, but let's do it tomorrow, right? So here again, right? We're gonna deal with the async await. Maybe no, right? Let's see. It's okay, no problem. Let's keep it try catch. So to generate token, okay, what I'm gonna do is I will put this one on the top. We need to import, right, JSON web token, something like this. You know, like what you can do, right? You can import JWT, okay, like from JSON web token, right? And inside you can find basically sign, you know, sign in and all that, right? Sign like that, okay, SIGN, right? So that function will create the, you know, token for us. Okay, so I imported the JWT here inside this try catch, right? Const, let's call it token variable equal to JWT. I think JWT, what is that name, right? We imported, but and it should not be like that, you know. To see if that work. Dot, see, now I have this sign, right? Look at this sign, okay? This function is the function, right? This function takes couple of parameter. The first one is sub, right? You have to define that. So that will be basically you can assign the ID of your new user, right? New user dot underscore ID. You know, in the token, remember JSON token, we have something like the ID. You can, from whoever is the new user, right? From their information, we are trying to create the token, which token later gonna store in this session or inside our cookies, right? And based on that session, we figure out if that user is logged in or not and all that. Okay, so but here we are generating, you know, like in the next auth, it's all happen automatic, right? But here we are looking at how things are generated from the base, right? Okay, so that is the first parameter or property we add, like object with sub and provide the ID there, right? And there is config also. No, okay, fine, right? We're gonna have to create secret key, okay? JSON secret, right? JWT secret key. So let's add that one first, right? In our you know, environment variable here. For now, I'll just put this or JWT underscore CRET, right? Secret equal to something like a, you know, like something long string, right? Something like that. Okay, fine. So we have to, you know, we have to use this. So in our, what is the config file? Here we have to call now, right? So we're gonna call that JWT. Let's name it like that, and process dot env dot JWT underscore secret, like that, right? So hope that name must match. Okay, if that is a mistake, then it's not gonna work. So in the config file, go back and put it there. Yeah, fine. So now we have access to this this value, right? JWT secret key also. Okay, so let's use that one in our controller here. So we have to import that, you know, first thing, right? We have to import that. So import, what was that name? Config file, right? Config file, from config, and then here we're gonna call it config file dot jwt secret, and this is, you know, we know this is a string, right? So just call it as a string. Okay, define the type right ourselves here for now, and few things more we can assign, right? Okay, so as a string and then comma, right? So, you know, this JSON web token JWT will hash this automatically, right, to the S2, I think HS256. Okay, but you can even define different hashing method, right? And expire in what, how many days? Okay, expiry date, let's add that. I think it should be in the object. Okay, I cannot put like that. So I go inside here and put new property or new. See, there is first parameter, second parameter, third parameter, right? We can add expiry in. You know, you have different option. Okay, so you can check online also, right? So let's put that. I will just put it maybe 7 day. Then you can algorithm, right, like that, and see it gives you a lot of option, right? These are the hashing algorithm. Okay, so normally this is the one, SS256. This is the one, right? Yeah, that's what we, I mean, this JWT normally when creating session, right, will use. Even if you don't put this one, is okay for now, right? But it's better to add it. Okay, done. So we just created the JSON to web token, right? And now we will just return that one. Okay, here. Response we're gonna send now, right? So let's response that. After creating this token, we're gonna send the response status 201, which I used here, right? I'll just delete that, we don't need. But if there is any error, right, we're gonna just call this error message. Okay, so we see we are adding error everywhere. Control G. Why copy a lot of things? No, I don't just let me type it. Okay, return next, then create HTTP error and then call it 500, and just error while sign in, right, to the something, what is that, to the JWT token. So we will just gonna check the JWT token. Okay, when you everything success, right? So let's try now in our browser, right? Basically in our Postman, you will see the new JWT token. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to change the email because email is unique. So let me put the 2 now and send the request. And you see that token here now, right? This token. Okay, if I copy this token and access token, right? You see that? Copy that and go to the remember JWT, what was that JWT website? JWT website, JSON web token. So here you can visualize, right, something, this part. So look at this one, right? There is 3 different color. Okay, so that is what the hash algorithm, right? HS256 type JWT, that is the first part. Second one is like whatever the sub name, whatever we provide, right? We have just added our key. And then signature, right? This is the signature from the, and signature is created using this header. That's the header part, using this information. Then the payload, this is the data, right? And whatever the secret, okay, that the 256-bit secret, right, which is the hashing formula, okay. So that's the header, that's the payload. Payload is the data from the user, right? And this is the secret generated from the hashing algorithm. That is the 3 value. So if I paste whatever I copied now, right, see, that's same thing. Now look at here, right? Sub, okay, I don't know, something went wrong, right? I don't know what is that. Invalid signature. So let me, okay, so because of maybe this quotation mark. Yeah. So it's still saying invalid, okay? So I don't know why. But we get the JSON web token, right? Let me copy one time again, just inside, okay? And then place it. Oh, now it's verified, right? Something like that. So HS256 is the hashing. Is that one correct? Or let me check one time. HS256, right? Yeah, that looks fine. So it's still giving error, and I don't know why. You know, this sub should be the our ID, right? And if you look at the ID, it's not matching here. If you go back, right? Let's check one time. In here, okay, I don't have ID, guys. So this is a payload, and that should have the ID. So let me check one time, okay? Can I await this? Saying what? No effect. Okay, it has no effect. Response status. Try. Here is the try block. This is the sign. We just create the JSON token, storing token, and then status 201 JSON access token equal to this token, right? And catch if there is error. But I don't know why it did not have the matching ID. Let's open that again, go here and try to paste, right? So it's just giving error, okay? So let's go to the database, right, and check one time. MongoDB, refresh the page. At least that ID should match, right? Let's see. Okay, so 4489, yeah, so that is 4489. Let's check it now, right? I think that's ID is okay. 4489, what is that? Yeah, look at that, right? So yeah, it's okay, it's working, you know, I mean, it's working, but maybe this is because of the website, something, you know, not refreshing, right? But see, the our ID is okay, right? So now in that session token, okay, inside this session token, right, we can use this ID to check the user if that is okay or not, right? But we will look at that next, not now, but in the future, right? Our goal is to just build something. When a user register, right, even the session token is created already. Okay, their information is added in the database. So tomorrow we're going to work on the login. Okay, create the route for login, right? So simply how it will work is, let me quickly, in the controller now, right? In the controller, we finished this one, right? So we're just gonna here start with the next const login user, right? User controller, okay, with the function, right? Same thing. So we're just gonna do the login work in this controller, and this controller will be exported here, right? Login user, and then in our route, so we have this route for the registered. So we just now get that login user, and you're gonna say no register, but this will be login, right? So localhost 3000, sorry, 5000 slash user API slash user slash login, and the function will be login, right? Login user. Now look at that. So this function will do the login job now, right? Okay, so even login is what? You have online form, you submit like a username or email and password. That is post method again. Okay, so this is post method. Clear? So we will do this tomorrow, and then maybe the next for the book, creating books, and in the book we're gonna do all the CRUD operation, right? All right, guys, that is too long. I know you guys get bored, so let me stop here.